Greetings, my people there. The survival of those in the lower class of the Lagos shelter is a constant struggle that also holds the balance of the entire shelter. Chapter 3 of the book, My System's Name is Symbiot, explores the trials of survival, endurance, military training, shattered dreams, and the imminent danger to the safety of the shelter. All this and more in today's chapter of the book. Please enjoy and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We begin. Adewale barely had time to adjust to this new reality before the brutal training began. The morning came with an unforgiving wake-up call. 6 a.m. sharp. The recruits, a mix of anxious and determined souls, were jolted from their sleep and thrown into a world of exhaustion. All right, rodents. It is time to begin your trial by fire. The commander's voice cut through the cold morning air like a sharpened blade. And just like that, they were on the move. The first task, a 5-mile hike. Sweat dripping, muscles burned, but there was no stopping. Those who faltered were met with cold stares and harsh words. Adewale pushed himself forward, determined, yet something felt off. One by one, the recruits would suddenly glow with an unnatural aura. Then it would be over, training done. A whisper reached his ear. He has acquired a new skill. That was when Adewale realized the true nature of this training. It wasn't just about physical endurance. No, this was meant to force an evolution. The human body on this strange planet adapted by absorbing energy from its surroundings to unlock new strength. The commander's next words sent a shiver down every spine because he made it obvious that any of the trainees unable to acquire a skill for the shelter would be disposed of. This only meant one thing to Adewale: he must push beyond his limits in order to survive. The days that followed were relentless. Drills, sparring, endurance tests, and others. Combat was a way of life, swordsmanship, stealth, knife skills, each lesson more brutal than the last. But despite the harshness of the training, Adewale knew one thing: failure was not an option. Adewale kept his head down because he knew one thing was common amongst all military training camps: the presence of adversity. Yet even though he tried to avoid trouble, trouble always lurks at every corner, waiting to expose itself. One evening, just before the all-important level evaluation, Adewale found himself face to face with 3 brutes. The leader, a tall, broad-shouldered brute with an air of arrogance, blocked his path, a sneer placed on his lips. "Sorry," Adewale muttered, stepping aside, but the brute's response was cruel. "Sorry for yourself." Adewale tensed and asked, "Why?" He hadn't done anything. "You were born," the brute replied, with disgust in his voice. His fist clenched, but before he could react, he received a sudden blow to the back of the head. Pain shot through his body. Darkness crept in the edges of his vision. It wasn't the brute who attacked. No, the blow came from the commander. The message was clear. The commander was taking the side of the brutes, and Adewale laid helplessly in the face of adversity. "Respect your betters," the commander scolded. Adewale staggered back to his feet, and then he saluted the commander. "Yes, sir." And then he ran off, suppressing the burning humiliation in his chest. The brute remained, laughing at the little humiliated boy as he ran off. The commander then turned to them. "I will not have you kill recruits before any of them can prove their worth." But the arrogant leader laughed. "They are just meat for the grinder." Kenny Akinbode was the name of the one who intended to attack Adewale. He was the heir to one of the most powerful families in the Lagos shelter. As an S-rank assassin, he was untouchable, a king among a nest of insects. That night, Adewale stared at the ceiling. He knew one thing: The next day, the evaluation exercise would change a lot of things, because that is when his true strength will be exposed to everybody. After all, he is the protagonist in this story. The moment of truth finally came. They were all led to the military research facility. At its center stood a massive green crystal orb, the key to their future. Next to it, an arcade-like console hummed with energy, ready to determine their fate. The commander stepped forward. The moment you hear your name called, place your hand on the crystal orb and your rank will be determined. The tension in the air was suffocating. One by one, they were all called, and as they were called, they stepped forward and placed their hands on the crystal orb. Then the commander announced their names, their ranks, and of course, their Evo cap, which happens to be the highest level of evolution that they will ever reach. Ose Oladapo, the commander announced. Ose came forward and tested. Skill, Pyro, Evo cap, 4, he said with disgust. Rank, E. Ose Oladapo was heartbroken because his Evo cap was 4, which means there is no way for him to ever get stronger. Lekon Afisoye. Lekon steps forward. Skill, Tank, Evo cap, 5. Rank, E. With each name announced and each rank spoken, Adewale's heart felt heavy. The result was met with disappointment. Failure was evident in their eyes. Those whose ranks were E had a look of despair on their faces, and those with D ranks or higher had a look of relief on their faces. Such was the hardship of the Lagos shelter. And then, Adewale Alaramide. Adewale's heart stopped for a moment. Each step towards the crystal felt heavier than the last. His hand trembled as he placed it on the orb. A silent prayer escaped his lips. The crystal flared up. Numbers and letters scrolled across the screen. Then the commander read them out aloud in a voice that practically shattered Adewale's entire world. Skill, Booster, Rank, E, Evo Cap, 1. The world shattered about him. Booster, a worthless ability, a joke. Level 1, meaning he won't get any stronger. Adewale stood frozen. This was the moment where the main character was supposed to shine, the moment he was supposed to awaken something great. But instead, he had been given nothing. The commander's voice snapped him back to reality. Leave. You are not the only candidate here. Adewale turned around, his steps empty. His dreams of becoming something more crumbled into dust. The harsh reality. By evening, the recruits were all divided into 3 groups. The superior groups, the elites, the chosen warriors, consists of the A and the B ranks. The action group, the fighters with potential, consisted of the C and D ranks. And of course, the unit groups, the rejects, the waste, consisting of the E ranks. Adewale and the other E ranks were thrown into a cramped, barely furnished room. The message was clear. They were all disposable. His friend Atta tried to reassure him, but the words didn't register. Adewale didn't even notice when the dinner was served. He simply sat in silence, drowning in the cold realization that he was nothing special. He was nothing to this world. The world of Crystallia had no place for those who were weak. The shelter thrived on strength, skill, and the ability to survive. Adewale was at the bottom of the food chain, and if he didn't find a way to raise to the top, he would be left behind, permanently, unknown to the annals of time. Not too far away, unknown to the elders of the shelter, and of course, unknown to everybody, there was a danger that lurked outside the shelter. Something was approaching, something dangerous, something that was out for blood and would bring harm to the shelter should it succeed. What will happen to Adewale? Will he rise above his rank, or will he remain a forgotten footnote in the history of Crystallia? If you enjoyed this story and want to see more, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to miss the next chapter, turn on the notification. Drop a comment below. What do you think about Adewale's skill? Is there more to it than meets the eye? Let's talk in the comments. Until then, let it be well with you.